Hello everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the cast rule. So the cast rule is used when you are given the value of cos or sine or tan. So let's say something like cos theta is equal to -1/2. And you're given this value of cos over an interval. So let's say somewhere where theta is between 0 and 360. And you're trying to find theta in this situation, and you need to find all of the possible values of theta. So to do this, we use these quadrants, which we remember with CAST, C-A-S-T. And what these stand for is the areas where cos, sine, and tan are positive. So for example, in this quadrant, cos is going to be positive. So all the values of cos will be positive. So let's say cos is equal to, or cos theta is equal to 1/2. It has to be positive. In this quadrant, the A quadrant, all of the values are going to be positive. So sine, cos, and tan will all be positive in that quadrant. In this one, sine will be positive, and lastly, in this one, tan will be positive. So to make some more sense of the cast rule, let's look at a couple of examples. So let's look at this one. So we have determined the possible values of A when cos of A is equal to 1/2 when A is between 0 and 360 degrees. Okay, so let's break this apart. So first off, let's start by drawing our quadrants for the cast rule. So we have the quadrants, and cos is going to be positive. So we know that it has to fall in the lower right quadrant or the upper right quadrant. Okay, so now we're going to need to figure out what the value of A is going to be. And we can actually, since we see that the cos of A is equal to 1/2, we can do this using our special triangles. So if you recall, one of our special triangles has a hypotenuse with a length of 2 and a side with a length of 1, and then another side with the square root of 3, but that's unimportant. So the one angle is 90 degrees, the one up at the top is 60 degrees, and the one at the bottom is 30 degrees. Okay. So we're trying to find the cos of 1/2. So we need to figure out which one of these angles, 90, 60, or 30, is going to give us 1/2. Well, if we recall, cos is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's going to have to be the 60 degrees, because the adjacent side has a length of 1, and the hypotenuse has a length of 2. So that means that this angle here is going to be 60 degrees. And this angle here for the bottom quadrant is going to be 60 degrees. Okay, so now we know that our values of A are going to be equal to, well, one of them is going to be equal to 60 degrees, but the other one's not going to be equal to 60 degrees. It's going to be equal to whatever this angle is here. And to figure out what the value of that angle is, we're going to subtract 60 from 360, and that's going to get us 300 degrees. Okay, and that's how we can use the cast rule to solve a simple problem like this. Okay, so now let's look at one. It's a very similar example, but this time we have a cos value that is negative. So, again, we're going to draw out our cast quadrant, C-A-S-T. But this time, since it's negative, we know that the angle is going to have to fall in the upper and lower left quadrants. And from the last question, we know that the value of cos of 1/2 is going to be equal to 60. And that's still going to be applicable in this one. We know that these two angles here are going to be 60 degrees. Okay, so now how are we going to figure out what the value of those angles actually are? What A is going to be equal to? Well, in this case, we know that the measure to this line is 180. So to figure out what the measure of the two angles we're trying to find, which is that angle and this angle, we're going to subtract 60 from 180, and we're going to add 60 to 180. So our first angle is going to be equal to 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. And our second angle is going to be equal to 180 plus 60, which is going to be equal to 240 degrees. Okay. So that's all the examples I have for you today. So I hope that this helped you to better understand how we can use the CAST rule to solve these simple problems. Thank you.